Each year, we honor UMass Amherst alumni who have made a profound impact on their communities through their work. This year's honorees, who span career stages and industries, demonstrate the power of a UMass Amherst education to inspire excellence and make a difference in the world.
I love to talk about UMass. For me, it was a game changer. I realized in my career at the United Way, another piece of paper would be very helpful. We're now in the 70s. My husband and I had been married 10 years. We had an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old. But I heard about the University of Massachusetts UWW program, and it seemed to fit the bill. They said they would massage it around my schedule. I was so grateful for the opportunity, and I was soaking it up like a sponge.
University Without Walls was founded in 1971. The program serves non-traditional students, and Marion's story is an excellent model for what we'd like to see our students aspire to. She had a drive to complete her education and then put it to good use.
My focus at UMass veered toward leadership. What can be done to help transform a community, a city, a region?
Marion Hurd is a very deserving recipient of this Lifetime Achievement Award for her years of service to her community and the common good.
I was lucky because at the same time I was learning, I was implementing. I was hired as the CEO of the United Ways of New England from Maine to Rhode Island. It was all about finding people who were interested in giving of themselves, taking time for others, and benefiting the community in which they lived. It was magnificent.
So my job is to protect the Pechanga Band of Indians' tribal sovereignty, making sure that treaty rights and legal precedents are upheld. I really get to draw a lot of parallels between the past and the present, relying on case law, legislative history, things like that. And I trace the roots of my career back to my time at UMass Amherst.
There's an elder I used to know who often said you have to go right to the horse's mouth, and that was Mark. He really learned from everyone. He would read books about Cherokee people, and then he got himself to Oklahoma and he tracked down people who had written those books. It's just wonderful to see how he's taken what he learned in his studies at UMass and carried them forward so that now he's working in tribal courts, he's teaching Native history. And I think the kind of work that Mark is doing is really laying a foundation and inspiring people who will come after him.
It's an amazing honor to be awarded the Distinguished Leader Award, but it also came as quite a shock. It just makes me more mindful of wanting to give back to the community.
I'm really proud of Mark. He's finding ways to carry all these things and bring them forward in ways that have meaning for him, that make the world a better place for other people. And I think that's really a UMass value.
As a medical oncologist, I take care of patients who have cancer, and I treat lung cancer patients. The part of the job that I do now that's different is really work on how do I get everyone to get access to the same high-level care that I've been able to provide over the years.
When I think of potential recipients of the Bill Brommery Legacy Award, Chris Lathan is the first that comes to mind. He's someone who's dedicated his entire career to thinking, how can we improve outcomes for cancer patients? He specifically started by looking at how can we improve outcomes for Black cancer patients. We knew for so long that Black people had worse outcomes in cancer. And Chris's insights into that population haven't only helped Black people, they've helped all people with cancer. And I think it's one of the reasons work in disparities is so critical to improving outcomes for cancer. Chris Lathan is a trailblazer in this area and has made an enormous impact.
Hope doesn't belong to just one zip code, right? Everybody should have access to hope. Everybody should have access to the top level of care. You can argue with how you want to do it, but you can't argue with that basic human right. And that's where the hope is, and that we as humans gather together around that basic idea and try to make it all a better thing for everyone.
When I left my career, I realized I wanted to build a community. And when I was talking to an engagement officer at UMass, I took a chance and said to him, I have a lot of time on my hands, and I would love to work on a project that involves women. He came back 2 weeks later with a great opportunity. They had a group of undergraduate business students who were trying to bring alumni and students together to talk about careers in the workplace for women. That conference, its first year, was the winter of 2014, and they asked me to be their alumni advisor. It was a wonderful experience. I got my wish.
Janie has given so much of her time over so many years, including being the chairperson for the Women for UMass, and also 13 years helping our planning committee for the Women of Eisenberg Conference. She epitomizes what service is about, and that's why she is more than deserving of the Nancy J. Vichovich Excellence in Service Award. Congratulations, Janie.
I had the idea for human composting in grad school at UMass Amherst, and it actually became my thesis project. The whole program was very supportive of this pretty wild idea to compost human beings and design a space in which that happens.
She looked at these practices, particularly that were happening on farms, and pondered, why don't we give that option to humans?
A lot of people are sort of dissatisfied with the funeral industry as it stands. And so with Recompose and human composting, we're saying, look, we're going to try to create something great. Like, we're going to try to create something that resonates, that feels like it means something, that, by the way, is sustainable and carbon beneficial. And I have a 30-year goal that Recompose and human composting more broadly will have taken over cremation as the default form of disposition in the United States.
I'm really pleased that Katrina's being honored with the Revolutionary Spirit Award. Spirit, she's just high spirit, high energy, highly optimistic. Revolutionary because I can think of very few alums, especially recent alums, that have been that effective at disrupting practices that have been around for centuries with such a brilliant idea.
In my first semester, one of my friends introduced me to hackathons, and I at the time ended up building this software which could detect misinformation on the internet using AI. It was back in 2016. It was a really important topic, and it went viral all over the internet.
Nabanita came into the Berthium Center for Entrepreneurship and started telling me about a little thing she built at a hackathon. Turns out it was an early AI tool that was a Chrome extension that would help people detect fake news.
After my hackathon went live, immediately, like within 7 days, Mark Zuckerberg makes the statement that Facebook is gonna fix fake news. Getting so much traction for the work that I was doing, it was so meaningful.
Her ambition is out of this world, right? And Nabanita got the Outstanding Young Alumni Award because she's done incredible things, and she's only gonna do more and better as we go forward.
Yeah, I think I'm super driven by solving really hard problems which people do not take on, or there are no answers to it. Being able to solve that through technology, entrepreneurship, as well as advocacy, that is what my hope is to leave as a legacy.
We are proud to celebrate the achievements of these outstanding alumni. We also recognize their ongoing support for UMass, which helps enrich the student experience and contributes to a brighter future for the university.
They gave me so much more than a diploma. UMass gave me self-confidence and direction and encouragement and support for the fields that I wanted to study. How do you repay that?
I am a perfect example of an alum who was not involved for 30 years. And I could make up lots of different excuses. I moved away from Massachusetts and my job was all encompassing. But the reality is I didn't allow myself to open those emails or to hear those stories. But once I realized, then there was lots of opportunity at UMass.
Having such a huge school where so many different students from so many different communities, backgrounds come together and find their home in a place, especially as an immigrant who does not know anybody. I think having that acquired family and not feeling out of place but being accepted by the community, I think that is something that is truly awesome.
UMass has this approachability that's really special when it comes to education because it's so easy to be intimidated. To arrive somewhere and feel like the collective effort is for you to learn is really special.
Whenever I get an opportunity to, I go back, I talk about our clinical opportunities, my own story, but then if there's an opportunity to make connections so people can come and get the same opportunities I did, I do that anytime I can for UMass.
My husband and I have supported scholarship. I know what scholarship meant for me. It was scholarship in the true sense of opening a doorway, in the true sense of giving me an opportunity. And so the legacy continues. I'm still mentoring young people and making sure they have an opportunity, and I always will recommend UMass as a place for people to learn and to grow and bring out what it is they have that they can share with the world.